B2B consultants and coaches have one fundamentally flawed belief that keeps them in an endless cycle of feast and famine where they depend on referrals and networking. And in this video, I'm going to uncover what this wrong belief is, how you can fix it so that your client acquisition becomes far more predictable and your revenue fluctuation will be history. I will also teach you a very straightforward model of client acquisition in the next 8.5 to 9 minutes. And this model will put you on a path of having your very first client acquisition system in place. And it's actually quite simple. Here are only 3 of our dozens of client testimonials so that you see that I might know what I'm talking about. This is Tony, a fractional CFO who doubled his revenue within 2 months. Hamza, an executive coach who made 90K within 3 months. Matt, who builds pitch decks for startups and who made $30,000 in new revenue within just 11 days of working with us, and so on. All of these clients and many more use the same core 6 principles of mindset adjustment that I'm going to share with you here. And it's exactly this mindset shift that allowed them to unlock this super fast growth in their business. And when I say mindset, I don't mean any woo-woo. It's not about abundance mindset and asking the universe. No, that mindset shift is all about taking sales and marketing seriously. Raise your hand if you've been guilty of this. You start out as a B2B consultant or coach. You have coffee chats with many former colleagues. You're networking. You're going to conferences, going to events. And you update your LinkedIn profile. You even post an article or 2. And then you just wait and see what comes your way. After all, you know plenty of people like you, and they don't do much more than that. And they effortlessly float from one client engagement to the next and are very often booked out many, many months in advance. Yes, these people exist, but unfortunately, only very few consultants are successful at that level. And so if after a couple of months of doing things this way, things are not really moving along, or you have exhausted your first batch of network and you've got some referrals, but now things are drying up, we have to shift gears. We have to acknowledge that we will not be one of the lucky ones, and we have to take sales and marketing a little bit more seriously. So how do you do that? I have a 6-step plan for you. And it will not only change your perspective, it will also give you a few very concrete action steps so that you can unlock what I call the Holy Grail, which is the ability to book sales calls with strangers. And it should be your goal too, even if you're just a solo consultant or a small consulting firm. The good news is we've already covered step 1. Acknowledge that you will not be taking the easy road, the one that maybe 5 to 10% of consultants can take. They either have a very strong network, or they've tapped into a great opportunity, or they are truly the top 0.1% in their field. Whatever the reason, they indeed effortlessly float from one engagement to the next. But you have now made peace with the fact that this is simply not you. You don't have that magic fairy dust, and it's no problem at all. We just have to roll up our sleeves and start working. And you're, by the way, in very good company. Most people simply have to work their way to success. Step 2, respect the craft. I see so many people say things like, oh, I tried cold email and it didn't work. And what they did in reality is that they hired some 20-year-old dude in mom's basement. And yes, he didn't have a track record, so it didn't work. That's like trying to compete in a national tennis tournament by hanging out at the local court and watching 2 retirees play a friendly match. Sales and marketing are a craft, just like what you are selling as a B2B consultant. Just trying something once or twice and then giving up if you don't succeed, well, of course that cannot work. You wouldn't do it in your area of expertise either. So if you're not a natural at this, it means you have to learn it, and learning isn't always fun. But if you're still watching this, that's the path that you have chosen, and I respect you for that. So let's take sales and marketing seriously. We don't need to become the world's best at it. We just have to be good enough so that we can sell confidently to strangers. Step 3, avoid the outsourcing pitfall. After step 2, you might be tempted to say, yes, I acknowledge sales and marketing are a craft, but I've never been good at it, so let us get somebody to do that work for us. Well, the only way you can do this is by doing 2 things. First of all, you can get yourself a partner, a co-founder. That means you will probably give up a significant part of your equity. And what kind of business are you actually giving up there? Well, the only way you can do that is by hiring an agency or getting a co-founder, a partner who will help you sell. That second option means that you're giving a significant part, maybe even half of your business. But if you know someone like that, go for it. Option 1, an agency, a good one, will actually cost you probably somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. Anything less than that, and you will probably get yourself a rookie who after 3 months of trying will say, oh, sorry, didn't work. The fact is, your consulting business stands on 2 legs. One is your area of expertise, and the other is your ability to get clients. And as a good business person, you know, you don't outsource your core competency. That's something you have to take in-house. So as painful as it is, refuse to outsource your client acquisition and do the bulk of it yourself. Once you figure it out, You can outsource parts of it, but for now, you will be doing everything. Step 4, realize that your network is too small and adjust. That one is quite a mind bender for our clients because they have been drinking the Kool-Aid of networking and referrals for years, if not decades. And it is true. If you are truly connected to a few titans in your industry, all you need to make a 7-figure income is that a couple of people make a couple of calls. But if you don't have Elon or Jeff on speed dial, then your network is probably more of a hindrance than a benefit. Because if you believe that you rely on your network to get clients, and let's say you're halfway through your Rolodex and nothing has really materialized so far, you will start to worry. The world will appear to be a very small and limited place. In reality, every good business is built on having acquisition systems for strangers. You have to go for strangers. That's the rule. Anything that comes through your network is just a cherry on top, but it cannot be the main cake. Step 5, sales before marketing. Many consulting newbies who reluctantly start promoting themselves often do things like publish LinkedIn content or start a podcast. The issue is that with these methods, with these content marketing methods, it could take months, if not years, to get your first client. I know people who are super popular on LinkedIn, but who are practically broke. And that's because they prioritize marketing over sales. Marketing is the process of becoming known, liked, and trusted. Sales is interrupting somebody to make them an offer. Sales must come before marketing. Why? Because you will know within a week or two whether your pitch works. Your learning cycle becomes really short. With marketing, you could be producing a podcast for months, if not years, before you get a client. That's a very long learning cycle. Sales is instant feedback. And the irony is, once you have learned what kind of offer attracts a stranger, you will also become a better marketer because you will have understood what triggers people in a good way. What are the arguments that make them take action? If you have tested 10 sales angles in cold emails and one of them is a killer, well, that one also will become a great content angle. You will become a better marketer. So to begin with, commit to reaching out to 10 people every day via LinkedIn DMs or cold email, maybe cold calling if that's suitable in your industry, and commit to increasing that number by 10 every day, every 7 days, until you cannot do more. And if you pay attention to the signals that get people to respond to you in a positive way and want to book a call, it's virtually impossible that you will contact 1,000 people in your market and not close at least one client. Step 6, it's a numbers game. Most B2B consultants who depend on referrals are often super attached to individual opportunities. They are biting their nails, agonizing over whether the way how they presented the proposal that they sent to this particular prospect, whether it was appropriately written, whether they have used maybe a wrong word somewhere and they are now offended. And of course, as a result, they check their inbox 700 times a day if the prospect is accepted. It's a terrible place to be in. Salespeople and marketers think in pipelines. They know that in the long run, about 20% of their proposals get accepted. So they don't really bother too much about any individual proposal. And they just know, let's put more volume out so that we can realize that 20% conversion rate. The secret to overcoming a dry spell or a couple of fallen through contracts is simply prospect more. Reach out to more people, make more offers. It's a numbers game, even in B2B client acquisition. And if you live by these 6 principles, it's practically impossible that your consulting business will ever fail. Now, even if you abide by all these mindset changes, it won't really serve you unless you put what you have learned into action. So I recommend that you watch this next video, how to get your next 5 clients on LinkedIn. I see you in that video.